Welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'll go over the eye model. The eye is the organ of vision. It is located in this bony structure, which is called the orbit. The orbit is made of the fusion of more than one bone. Here we have the zygomatic bone, this is the maxilla, and this is the frontal bone. Now it is cushioned by this fat right here. Surrounding the eye, we have the lacrimal apparatus, which produces the tears. This structure, which is part of the lacrimal apparatus, is the lacrimal sac. Now we have 6 extrinsic eye muscles that control the movement of the eye. The first is the superior rectus muscle. Rectus because the fibers of this muscle run straight. The second is the inferior rectus muscle, which is right here. The third is the medial rectus muscle. Medial because it is located closer to the midline of the body, which is closer to the nose, that's the nasal bone. And the lateral rectus, which is away from the midline, this muscle, closer to the zygomatic bone. The fifth muscle is the inferior oblique muscle. And the sixth muscle is the superior oblique muscle, which is right here. Now notice that the tendon of the superior oblique muscle is held via this structure right here, which is called the trochlea, a pulley-like structure right here. Let's move to the eye itself. The eye is made of 3 tunics. The first is the fibrous tunic. Fibrous tunic is made of the sclera, which is the white part of the eye, and the cornea, which is the transparent curved structure right here, the front. The second layer is made of the vascular tunic. Let's take this off right here. Vascular because it is rich in blood vessels, right? You can see the blood vessels. This is the vascular tunic. Now this, as we said, that is the fibrous tunic. This is the sclera, and this is the cornea. It is called fibrous because it is rich in fibers, which are part of the dense connective tissue. Now back to the vascular tunic, which is made of the choroid, which is this structure right here. That is the choroid. And anteriorly, we have the iris, which is the colored part of the eye. Now the opening in the iris is called the pupil. Let's take this out right here. So we can see the choroid. This is part of the iris, and this is the pupil. Now the third layer, which is the sensory tunic. It is called sensory because it is rich in the photoreceptors, the rods and the cones. It is made of the retina right here. This is the retina. Now anteriorly, we can see this part. This part belongs to the vascular tunic. So this was the pupil, this part of the pupil. And this is part of the ciliary body. So we can see the circular muscle, that is the ciliary muscle. Now the retina extends anteriorly to this structure right here. This is the ora serrata retinae. That's the ora serrata retinae. It is filled with photoreceptors right here. Running through the retina, we can see the central retinal vein in blue and the central retinal artery. At the center of the retina, we have this spot right here, which is responsible for visual acuity. This is the macula lutea. At the center of the macula lutea, we have the fovea centralis, which carries the highest concentration of rods and cones, the photoreceptors. Right here, this structure is the optic nerve, which is cranial nerve number 2. It carries the signals from the photoreceptors to the brain. Now, this spot where the optic nerve exits the eye is called the optic disc. That's the optic disc. The optic disc is considered a blind spot. Why? Because it lacks the photoreceptors, which are the rods and the cones. Running through the optic nerve, we have also the central retinal artery and vein. So this is part on the structure right here. This is part of the optic nerve. It continues backwards to the optic chiasm. which is right here. That's the optic chiasm. Now, the eye itself is divided into two compartments. Okay, let's put this back right here. The first compartment is the anterior segment. The anterior segment extends from the cornea anteriorly, the structure, to the lens right here. So this is the lens. The lens is held in place via the suspensory ligaments, which are not shown on this model. So this is the lens. Now the second segment is the posterior segment, which extends from the lens to the retina. That's the posterior and that's the anterior. The anterior segment is further divided into two chambers. The first chamber is the anterior chamber, which extends from the cornea to the iris, the colored part of the eye, right here, and the posterior chamber, which extends from the iris to the lens. Now we have a fluid that occupies the anterior segment. This fluid is called the aqueous humor. Aqueous from watery fluid structure. Whereas the posterior segment is filled with the vitreous body or vitreous humor. The vitreous humor holds the retina in place right here underneath it. And again, this is the lens.